guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Johanna. For those of you who are new here, welcome. For those of you who are returning, welcome back. A great big shout out to my channel members for supporting my channel. Thank you. All right, so in this video, we're going to do a couple of things. I don't know that it's going to take very long, but I did want to show you some of my methods when I'm adding some mediums to my coloring page. This is a recent acquisition. This is the Masters of Fashion Illustration by Wendy Pearsall, and I decided to work on this page right here. This will actually go towards Olga Rani's prompt of rose, considering those roses. And what I've already started is I put some washi tape down into this V behind her. Don't know why that's behind her, but whatever. I don't actually know that I'll be doing a background, or if I do, maybe I'll do a black acrylic. You'll see this in my completed pages at the end of the month, but I thought I'd show you a couple of different processes on what I do. So I've got this washi tape. This was in my stash. I couldn't even tell you where it came from, but it is sheer and it is paper. Some of the washi tape that I have is more plasticky, and while it still would work, you'd have a harder time seeing what's underneath it. So what I do is I stick it down, and I'm going to just trace around. Now, if I were smart, I'd put a cutting board underneath this, because I could potentially be cutting into the page underneath, but I never do that. So if I cut it, I cut it. And it's a little awkward, but I'm just gonna cut around, and I'm gonna go outside of the black outline. You can still see it, but if I want to add some additional, I can always add a black border around it. But right now, it just helps me make everything as similar as I can. And even though it's really subtle, it still gives a nice effect. And I'm not pressing down very hard, just enough to hopefully cut it. And I'll do a little piece right there. Sorry if my big man hands are in the way. It's already awkward work, especially when you're dealing in small spaces, but it's even more so when you're filming and you've got big man hands. Okay, and then clean this edge up right here. I don't necessarily have to, because you can barely see it, but if I do put a background, then that'll just interfere. Okay, again, very subtle, but I do like the look of it. So that's how I put washi on my pages. And I have quite a bit of washi, and again, I like to use the paper stuff that's sheer so that I can see underneath to cut around the shape, especially if it's something specific. I will go into these little pieces and do the same, but I'll do that off camera. Again, big man hands. And then I want her dress to be pink, and so I'm going to go for the lightest distress ink that I have. And I had bought some Holbein pencils actually a couple of years ago, and I kept the tins. And so what I'm going to do is just use the cover as a palette. There's some color on there already. I don't care. So I'm just going to put this down just so I have something to kind of move this around on. Put some on the brush, also from Amazon, and I'm just going to put some color down. I'm not going to be concerned if I go outside the line. I'm not going to be concerned about the saturation. It's just a really quick and easy way to put some color down any variation on pigment or whatnot, I can tell myself it's either light or fabric, so I don't get too fussed about such things. Now, it would help if I had different sized brushes, but I don't. They're all this size, and so we're just gonna deal. We're gonna put some up in here, see if we can get some up here. And let's just squiggle some more on. Use this side like that. Again, not going to be fussed about that. It's just a coloring page after all. Okay, so you're like, oh, well, that seems kind of pointless. Well, not really. I've got some pigment on the page. I've got some interest going on there. Again, I can block that out if I want to, and I might. Because it's a big open space, I could actually do quite a bit with it. But then what I had planned to do, okay, so you might be wondering what's going on. First of all, let's put some skin down, because why not? So I'm just using some alcohol marker. I do have a protective sheet behind, again, not because of the cutting, but because I knew I was going to be using alcohol marker. And just color in her skin. And she actually is totally giving me Queen Charlotte vibes from the Bridgerton Netflix series, the younger version, which that new series or spin-off or whatever looks quite intriguing. So let me put some color down. And it's regular Amazon paper, so the marker will spread a little bit. Okay, and let me get into her face. And I'm trying to avoid getting any kind of streaks, but I also know sometimes it's just inevitable. Again, just a coloring page, not creating artwork to last the millennia. Okay, so already we've got some good things going on there. So this is my Tombow alcohol marker. The black barrel are the water-based. The gray barrel is the alcohol marker. And let's add some, I was more expecting the color of the barrel. Guess who does not swatch? I think you might know who that is. But we're gonna come into these areas like that, and over here, although it does seem to dry darker. That's good. Oh yeah, much darker. I wouldn't mind this kind of fluorescent color though. And then we'll just add in accents. Throughout the page. I'm a bit torn on how I feel about brush tips. On some cases, it's actually very useful, but I think I like the chisel and the fine tip more. These Tombows, they don't have that option though. Okay, so let's get in here and make her outfit look cohesive. And that's kind of how I go about doing some of my pages. If I don't have a color palette, then I always figure, well, markers or whatnot within the same family should still fit, right? So it still will look cohesive. Doodle just did something, a video the other day where she showed how if you're using paints, you can make your work look cohesive by just using the same mix that you're using and then adding additional colors. I'll link her channel below so you can check it out. But I thought that was really interesting. And I guess the same can be said if you're using non-acrylic, so long as you use the same color family, you'll have cohesion. I know it sounds like I know what I'm talking about. I really don't. Talking and doing has actually never been easy for me. And I am not concerned if I'm outside of the lines. You guys already know that. Because either I can fix it or not. But I truly don't let stuff like that get to me. Because for me personally, it's never about the end result. Although sometimes I am pleasantly surprised. And sometimes I just have to laugh because... why though? And as much as I lament the fact that I don't have a plan, and a lot of times it shows it, I know that I could have a plan or I could get a clue, but that kind of takes away the fun for me. Just like when I was doing my planning days, I would never really pre-plan because that takes the fun away for me. I just kind of like making things up with the knowledge that, one, I may love it or hate it, and I'll have to be okay either way. And two, I can be adding some additional stress to my life because I'm going in just hoping for the best, but I never ever get so bogged down in it that I feel like I've wasted my time. Because that to me is actually a bigger issue than just playing. If I feel like I'm wasting my time, then that actually really annoys me. But I feel like, okay, I tried something and it was a swing and a miss. Well, I mean, okay. I mean, did I enjoy myself up until that point? And if I did, well, then good for me. Happy, happy. Okay, so that actually doesn't look bad. I've got this crazy pop. I don't know. Oh, yeah. Oh, no, let's do the leaves in this crazy pop color. Because I think it's red and green. And I'm working the farthest away this way because I'm right-handed, and so it's less likely to smudge that way. And then I'll come in with a glaze pen and then just color in the roses. And so that pink underneath is really just to give some color and, not gonna lie, a little bit of texture, at least in my mind, to the fabric underneath. And then I'm using this to add some additional detail work on here. And that's kind of how I'm going to work all of this. So it's just really going to be these. And then I'll need to figure out a hair color. Actually, let's use this as the hair. See what that looks like. Again, another Tombow marker, alcohol marker. And I think that's her bonnet, so this must be her hair. And I think this is her hair too. And color in there. That looks really good. I'm liking the color combo. I'm liking how that looks. And then let me show you one more thing. Okay, I've got a clear Spectrum Sparkle pen, and I've got a Wink of Stella in gold. So let's test some things out to see what this looks like. So I've got some gold here on the sleeve, and you just brush it on like a paintbrush. And so anything that kind of looks like that lace will be that. I can come back in once the alcohol is dry, the alcohol marker, and see if we can kind of deepen that. And if it doesn't work with this, then I can come in with a gray or a red. So all of these things will be in that gold. And then let's see, because that's dry, let's see what this does to that section. Now I don't know if that crazy pop is going to run or smear. And I think there was some color on here because it's adding some color. We're not going to do any clear in here, so it actually looks really good. I like that. I like kind of the gold and the silver together. Okay, so those are some methods that I use to tackle some pages, whether it's intricate or not, doesn't really bother me. Something like this, I mean, especially if it were bigger and intricate, put a wash of color, and then I can always add just a few things to kind of spot detail things. And to me, for the background, I can add some stamping, I can add some black acrylic paint, I can just leave it as is. I think black acrylic paint will really make this image pop, but then that's also a lot of painting. So we'll see, but you'll see this completed page at the end of the month. And I'd love to know what you guys think of some of my processes. I know some of the people that I watch here on YouTube are very specific, and I find that really intriguing, but I also know that it's not part of my own process. So if you're like me and you just kind of attack things, if you are the polar opposite of me and you have a plan and you have a vision in your head, or if you're somewhere in between, I'd love to know in the comment section below. All right, guys, well, that's it for me for now. And as always, aloha.